Hey guys, it's Ray and Andrew here again with REH CPA, and today we wanted to talk about use tax. A lot of people have heard about sales and use tax, but not many focus on what the use tax is. So Ray, what can you tell us about use tax?
Right, so a lot of times when we talk, we say the phrase sales and use tax, right? And the use tax piece gets kind of lost.
Yep.
They just think it's all one thing, sales and use tax, so they focus on the sales tax portion. What they're not familiar with is what's called use tax, and a lot of people don't even know what use tax is. So what use tax is that it's basically sales tax that you didn't pay when you purchased something. Mm-hmm. So for example, let's say back in the day especially, it used to be that you could order something online from another state and you didn't pay sales tax. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is that North Carolina didn't have authority to make that company pay North Carolina sales tax. And since you weren't in that other state, you didn't have to pay that state's sales tax. So whenever you ordered that thing online from another state, a lot of times you got it without having to pay sales tax. So it was a pretty nice pickup for a lot of people. Well, North Carolina law says that even though you didn't have to pay sales tax on that, you still owe it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's called a use tax. Now, it's treated differently whether or not you're an individual or a business, mm-hmm. right? So if you're an individual, what you're supposed to do is report that on your income tax return at year end, on your D400, your North Carolina state income tax return. You're supposed to report that amount that you didn't pay tax and then pay the sales tax on the amount of purchases that you made that you didn't pay sales tax on, right? Mm-hmm. So North Carolina has an estimate mm-hmm. that they will do based on your income. They say, okay, based on your income, this is how much sales tax we think you didn't pay, right? And so like they have they have a calculation, right, mm-hmm. that they do that goes on the tax return. So they make an assumption that you didn't pay sales tax on some of your purchases. What a lot of people don't know is that that's voluntary, right? You're voluntarily saying that I didn't pay sales tax and I want to go ahead and pay my use tax. Mm. So what you want to do is look on your North Carolina tax return. It's usually on line 18 of the D400, and that's where you're calculating that use tax. The thing is that a lot of these automated software programs, even for CPAs, even if somebody else is doing your tax return, it will automatically populate that based on your income. Right. So you don't have to pay that if you didn't have any any purchases that you didn't pay sales and use tax on, right? So a lot of times that number should be zero because most times, people now are paying sales and use tax, especially with all the new laws and everything. You're buying on Amazon, you're paying sales tax on a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So make sure you pay attention to that line when you're doing your tax return and understand that if you can prove that you didn't make any purchases that you didn't pay sales tax on, you don't have to pay that use tax with your D400, right? So a lot of times that number should be zero.
Yeah, so that's on the personal side. So what does it look like for the business?
So on the business side, if you're a business owner and you're buying supplies online from a state and you're not paying sales tax on it, or you're buying like computers and things like that online and not paying sales tax on it, you still owe the North Carolina tax, that use tax. A lot of small business owners get in trouble with that because North Carolina does audit those, mm-hmm. right? And what they'll do is they'll go through all your purchase invoices of all the things that you've bought throughout the year for supplies, for computer equipment, things like that. And if they don't see where you paid sales tax, then they will go ahead, they will calculate how much use tax that you owe. Right. So you can be proactive about that and report that to them. If you collect sales tax, then you're used to filing the E500? E500. Yeah. You're filing your E500 with your sales tax. Well, that's where you do that calculation for the use tax as well to mm-hmm. report how much use tax.
Gotcha.
If you don't collect sales tax and you need to report the use tax, well, you need to get a sales and use tax number, and it needs to start reporting it either on a monthly or quarterly basis. So just want to make everybody aware of this thing called use tax. Like I said, we say sales and use tax, and the use tax kind of gets lost mm-hmm. in the sales tax part. So just want everybody to be informed so that way you're aware of it, so that way you understand what you're liable for and what you're not liable for.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks for going through that with us. Thanks, Ray.
Absolutely.